Hi everybody. Hi boys and girls. Hi Miss Judy. Hi Miss Maria. Today for our plant unit, we are going to answer the focus question. Where do we find plants? We can find plants in all different locations. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse the camera so that I can show you some pictures of where we can find some plants. So, one place we can find plants is in the hot desert. This is a cactus plant. It's very hot and dry there. It hardly ever rains in a desert. Another, this is a good example of a desert picture where you see lots of tall cactuses growing. And cactuses need very little rain. The reason why is because they store water inside the cactus. Cactuses come in all shapes and sizes. This is an example of a round cactus. Notice all those prickly spikes. Some plants in the desert are very pretty. These almost look like flowers, but these are actually a different variety of a cactus plant. Cactuses come in all shapes and all sizes. So these are all different kinds of plants that you might find in a desert. Some plants grow right on the water. These are called lily pads. Yeah, lily pads grow right on the water. Their roots are actually underneath the water. Frogs like to sometimes jump from lily pad to lily pad. This is an example of a rainforest. A rainforest is a very hot, dense place where there's a lot of trees, a lot of bushes, a lot of animals live in rainforests. It usually rains most of the year. Monkeys live in rainforests, and a lot of other creatures, lots of bugs, all kinds of fruit and stuff grows in rainforests as well. Here's an example of another rainforest picture. This is called a bog. As you can see, the water is filled with life, and even things can grow in the hot rainforest water there. A lot of fruit also grows in rainforests. Here's an example of fruit. A lot of monkeys like to pick this fruit as well, and so do bats. Here's another example of a fruit that might grow in a rainforest because it's a very hot place and it rains a lot. A lot of flowers also grow in rainforests. These are natural flowers that you might find in a rainforest. Now, you can also plant plants at home. This is an example of a house plant. House plants usually can just sit in the window of your home, like we made. These are all different kinds of house plants. That's another place where you can find plants. We can also find plants on a farm. Here is a rows and rows of, it looks like lettuce or cabbage that is growing at a farm. Here's another example of another farm. And what we call this is crops. When they're grown this way, they're called crops. That's places where a lot of food grows. This is an apple tree. Trees grow from apples. Apples grow from trees. So what people do is they pick the apples and they place them in barrels, and then they can get sent to supermarkets. When you see trees like this, a lot of them, they're called an orchard, an apple orchard. That's where people pick apples. Do you know what this is? If you said pumpkins, you're correct. Pumpkins grow on vines that are low to the ground in pumpkin patches. That's where we can find pumpkins. Pumpkin patches, they call it. They grow very low to the ground. Here is an example of pumpkins that have been picked for people to come and select to make pumpkin pie and jack-o'-lanterns during the holiday. What are these? If you said oranges, you're correct. How do oranges grow? That's right, they grow on trees. Oranges grow on trees. So this is an example of how oranges grow on a tree. Just like apples grow on trees, oranges also grow on trees. Now this is an example of an indoor area where plants are growing. You might find this in a plant store. That's where people go to buy plants. It looks like in this plant store, people have a variety of different cactuses they could buy for their home. Here's an example of a plant store from the outside. So plants grow in a lot of different places. These plants are growing in what's called a greenhouse. A greenhouse is an indoor area with lots and lots of windows. Now it's very hot in a greenhouse, and the sun can go through the windows and help the plants to grow. Some people put in water systems to help plants grow in greenhouses as well. Many times, fruits, vegetables, flowers, all kinds of plants can grow in a greenhouse so that people can bring them to local supermarkets or flower shops. What's this? If you said a forest, you're correct. A forest is a place where a lot of trees grow. Now this is different from a rainforest. This could be a forest like upstate New York. It doesn't have to be hot all the time. It could be different temperatures, 4 seasons, summer, spring, winter, or fall. But as you can see, this is a forest. It's just a place where a lot of trees grow. This is an example of an evergreen forest. Evergreen trees are sort of like, well, like Christmas trees. They stay green all year long. Another word for these are also pine trees. Here's another example of a forest where lots of bushes grow. Bushes are low to the ground, and lots of grass grows. Many animals live in a forest. Here's an example of trees growing on the side of a mountain. Yeah, they can even grow on mountains. This is an underwater, where underwater plants are growing. This is actually in the water, deep in the water. Sometimes when the sun can get through, certain plants can grow in the water. So this is an example of water plants growing in the water. How pretty that looks, right? Look, these are also underwater plants. Underwater. Here's a scuba diver is looking at a statue that was placed underneath the water, and as you can see, there are plants growing all around that statue, isn't there? So plants can grow in all different places, in all different locations. And plants are even in our neighborhood, like the trees that are outside, right? You might have trees down your block. You might have flowers planted in your neighborhood. You can find plants all over. All right, I hope you enjoyed this, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.